Hi, I'm Annabelle, and we are in the third part of the Major Arcana, which is the universal journey of the Fool. If you are just catching up on this, go back to the playlist and you can start it all over from the beginning. I give you my toolkit for tarot beginners. We go through the first part of the Major Arcana, the second part, personal journey, and the interpersonal journey. And now we are in the universal journey, which is going to bring us to the end of the Major Arcana. So we left off with the Temperance card. The second part of the Major Arcana is about the Fool learning how to balance his life and his choices, making sure that he chooses the best routes for himself, and also that he obeys the rules and regulations of the world around him. In the Hangman card, we also got some perspective on how he affects the people and the situations around him as well, and he takes some ownership over that. So now we're going to get into some crazy stuff with him, some temptations, some difficulties. He's finally going to get some monkey wrenches thrown at him. Let's bring up the cards and talk about the universal development of the Fool. So this is cards 15 through 21, and it is the Devil through the World card. The World card ends the Major Arcana in the Rider AE Rider Waite deck. If you have a specialty deck, you may have some more cards. We'll talk about that when we discuss specialty decks near the end of the summer. But let's start out with what this all means. The final phase of the Fool's journey is about karma and his transcendental status. It's about freedom and his spiritual mastery. This is the home stretch before judgment and transcendence into another spirit form. So I want to remind you, questions are: what are his greater goals in the universe, and how does he integrate everything that he knows? So let's start out with this Devil card. The Devil card is a great depiction. It is the mirror image of the Lovers. Remember the Lovers from our first section, personal development, or a second section, interpersonal development. So the Devil here is about adherence to things that do not serve us well. It's about choosing, not listening to the Temperance card, but choosing things that are fun over the things that are purposeful. This is about living blindly, going through life, doing substances, ignoring your bills, not paying attention to the things that need paying attention to, the important things: family, friends, your home, your finances. This is about ignoring all of that and running off to go on tour with some crazy band. So I want to focus on the chains that are holding the reverse Adam and Eve here. They are very loose around the necks of those characters. They can very easily take them off, purposely designed this way, because the Devil card is a choice to link yourself to things that do not serve you well. If we don't learn, if our Fool does not learn from that experience, what happens? Boom, we get the Tower card. Now, I like to read the Tower card as cataclysm that happens to us from an external source. That external source can be the substances that tempt us, the debt that we incur, the shopping addiction that draws us in. But the Tower card can also be monkey wrenches thrown in from the universe. We can get things like that. When I read reversals and I get the Tower card in reverse, I consider it more of something that we do to ourselves almost purposely. It's like we're hamstringing ourselves. But here in the upright, I want you to consider the Tower card is cataclysm that comes out of the thin air and disrupts everything. In some senses, it can be a good card because it raises everything down to ground level so you can rebuild, but it is a trying period. So beware the Tower card. And how this affects us in the universal development is that we now have a new understanding of the power of nature, the power of the universe to give and take from us. And here we roll on in after the storm of the tower card, we roll into the star. Why is the star such a beautiful, calm card after the tower? Again, we're talking about duality in tarot. So we are looking at bad thing, good thing comes in. And with the star, we see in the distance hope. We see a future that we can lean toward. We can stretch out. We can wish upon that star. My favorite thing about the star card in the Rider-Waite is that there's more than one. So that is giving us an indication that there's more than one future possibility that is hopeful and good, and we can look toward that and get to a good place. But to get to that good place, we sometimes have to walk on a shadowy road. And that is the moon card. And the moon card is also our intuition and our connectivity with spirit and with spirituality. So it really is a bit spooky because we're doing this trust fall into a greater spiritual world. This is the first indication that we have of ghosts and spirits and things that are going to move through us and beckon us through the thresholds when we get to the world card. So we are looking at some very interesting unknowns that will be revealed in just a moment. I love to point out in this card the crawfish that is crawling out of the primordial waters. As primordial beings, we had much more instinct built into us, programmed into us. And so this is our intuition crawling out of that primordial soup and coming back into our focus. Also, we have duality with the two towers and the two canines there. One is a wolf and one is a domesticated dog. Again, giving us some insight into the two sides of humanity. We do have a rougher and raw, more natural side, and then we have a more refined and elegant, sophisticated side. So keep that in mind because things will be revealed. We will either see a more elegant self or we will see a more raw kind of individual. But after the moon, what do we see? We see the sun. The sun rises. This is the best card in the tarot deck. It is a yes, 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 no matter which direction it comes up. If it is reversed, it just means that the happiness is going to take a little bit longer to get there. We have this gorgeous totally naked child who is celebrating on a white horse. We have sunflowers, which are also positivity and happiness. The sun is shining. It's a beautiful summer day. And we have this beautiful unfurled flag of red with passion. There's lots of goodwill in this card. And our universal journey is telling us here we can see the spirit world, but we should still honor and celebrate the terrestrial world while we are here. Our look back on our life should always be positive. Hopefully, none of us will lay down in that final bed and have regrets. We should always look back and find those happy points in life. And that is what we want our Fool to do at this point in his universal journey. Because as we get to the Judgment card, what is Judgment Day? Judgment Day in this card is the dead are rising. So this is the time of judgment for the Fool. If he has his ducks in a row, if he is happy, and if he is looking back with gratitude and happiness and reviewing all of the wonderful things that he has done during the course of his life, his judgment will be fair. He will be raised. he will raise from the dead, and he will go on to eternity, to a blessed eternity. And that is what this card is about. This is the weighing, the weighing of the scales, or the in Egyptian philosophy, it is the weighing of your heart versus a feather. They want to make sure that your heart is lighter than a feather. But we'll talk about that when we get to the Crawley Thoth Tarot. Don't worry about it. We're going to get there, kids. But here we are looking at judgment. The Fool is now being questioned about his accomplishments and where his soul is. Is your soul ready? And in the final card, the World card, I do want to point out that the image that's on the World card is actually the Fool reborn. This laurel wreath is a depiction of the opening of the womb and the Fool marching through that. He is reborn, and his staff has now been broken into two, and he is more evenly balanced as a result of being in this life. Likewise, he is also reborn in a hermaphroditic state because he does not know if he wants to be male or female in the next life. He is going to choose as he moves through this threshold into a new incarnation. So in this part of our Major Arcana universal journey, there are more themes of spirituality and reaching through the veil and understanding that it's not just this terrestrial life. It is our spiritual life, our eternal life that we do need to focus. So I do hope that you have enjoyed this journey through the Major Arcana. I will be tackling the Minor Arcana presently next week, and we'll be talking about how I teach that Minor Arcana. It still is a progression like the Major Arcana. It is a developmental journey, and that will give you indications as to how to answer your client or your friend, whoever you're doing your reading for. Maybe you're doing it for yourself. It will give you some indication about how far a question has progressed or a solution is at hand. So drop your questions down below. I hope you guys are enjoying this. This is so much fun. Again, I want you to understand this is like an 050 tarot class. I'm just trying to give you the really high level view so that you can get down into the more granular stuff as we move through these little sessions. So I hope you're enjoying it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you real soon.